Hi everyone, I'm back with a book review and this time two books. Anne Leckie's The Raven Tower and Mark Lawrence's One Word Kill. Now, the interesting thing about these two books, I've been in a bit of a fantasy run lately, and in fact the book I'm going to do next time was also fantasy, and I might change it up after that. So, Anne Leckie, to begin with, The Raven Tower. So, anyone who's really read any speculative fiction knows Anne Leckie's name because she's the author of a book series, the Ancillary series, for want of a better word, and they won numerous awards. And the interesting thing about it was she has a very distinct writing style. And that's in the Ancillary series, it was basically it's very complicated, and I've already done a review for it, but she wrote in the second person. Now, if you're new to, or you might read millions of books and not even think about those kind of things, you're just interested in the story or the characters. But if you think about it, most stories are written either from the first person, like I am Eden, I want to tell you about this incredible adventure I just had. Or in the third person, where a narrator is telling you about a story. So they go, you might have never heard of this guy, but Eden went on this adventure. Second person is, it's very hard for me even to define it. It is a really interesting voice that is used, but I find it really quite off-putting. And that was the problem with the Ancillary series. So technically it's incredible writing, even to be able to use second voice, I think. But I find it a little bit off-putting. So The Raven Tower, the interesting thing was Ancillary series was in science fiction and this is fantasy. So I thought, I'll be really interested to see what Anne Leckie does because she's so super smart. It'll be something completely different to what everyone else is doing. And this was the case. So there's two big conceits in this world which he sets up from the very beginning. One is that in this world, it really looks a lot at what deities and gods can do. And in this world, there are little gods, big gods, and really the measure of their power is that a god can do anything. It can say anything, but if what it says, or commands, I guess might be a better term, is physically impossible, just cannot be done for whatever reason, or is a lie, or just cannot be put into fruition because they don't have enough power, then that god itself will probably be destroyed or harmed greatly. So all of a sudden you have this very interesting topic about what is the extent of power? How do they gain the power? How are they worshipped? Do they want to be worshipped? And so from the beginning, you have that conceit in this world. Then we go to the world itself, and I'll just look at my notes because I always get all the names mixed up. And in this one, it's the Kingdom of Iridan, and you start off with pretty much at the beginning, Iolo is an aide-de-camp to Mawat, who is the heir of this kingdom. And what they have been doing for countless generations, and they flourished because of this, is they have this relationship with the raven, hence the title of the book, in which the person who's the ruler of that village kingdom will always be sacrificed to the raven god at the end of their life. And then the heir will become the next person, and in exchange they get a great life and the village flourishes. Or city is probably a better word. They're not big places, it's not like Game of Thrones or something like that. So you've got this interesting thing where he's a quite smart character and he's always a little bit ahead of the plot. But very soon on in the book you have this omniscient narrator who's telling you about Iolo and about the world, and this is in the second voice, in second person, and that is this god of he has different names, but they're really just of stone and wood or stone and water, and just doesn't move that much, but can put its power out into the world. So eventually some things occur which I won't ruin for you, and the story unfolds in a lot of ways just like a very simple story, actually. But the interesting things are in the details. So the problem with this book is, do I recommend it? And I have to say that I respect it more than I love it. I'm coming to the conclusion I'm just not an Ann Leckie person, in that her stories are incredible, but I almost just want someone to tell me, hey, have you heard about Latest Hand again? This is what happened, this is how she did it. And I'd go, wow, that's a really good story. Because in reading it, that second person and some of the devices she uses in her language is very simple. And I just found it falling a bit flat for me. But other people are raving about it, and I can see why, because the mechanics and the world building is just so interesting and different, but probably not my cup of tea. Okay, I'll be back in a second and we'll talk about Mark Lawrence's book, One Word Kill. Okay, so we're going to now talk about Mark Lawrence's One Word Kill. And this book has also gotten an incredible amount of praise. So Mark Lawrence, I've never read any of his other works, but he's a big author in science fiction, especially. More fantasy. He's got a numerous, I think they're called the Thorn series, but he's really quite a, got tons of works out there. So One Word Kill has gotten a lot of praise because it's a little bit like, got a bit of a Stranger Things vibe. And it's very nerdy. It's more what you would call probably urban sci-fi. It's grounded in terms of the world and then just strange things occurring in it. So essentially it's the story of Nick, who's 15 years old and very early in the book has been diagnosed with leukemia. And he is in, like any 15-year-old, a weird world where there are bullies, he's interested in girls, he's trying to make his way through life, but now he's been hit with this problem, but also the way he gains any sort of solace is he's got a good group of friends, and they are Elton, John and Simon, who are all geeky in their own way, who play D&D together, which was the reason why I picked up the book, because I've been playing D&D for about 40 years and it's a real Achilles heel for me if there's some sort of D&D reference, i.e. Stranger Things. But into that world comes Mia, this goth girl who, when I think back to all the years when I was playing D&D and I went on the convention circuit and we were competing to see who were the best role players, it was very much that mixture of, super nerds and goths and people who were like I was an actor at the time, so I really enjoyed this idea of taking on a character and trying to see what I could do with it. And also you were, just tons of friends. So I really loved all that part of it. So very soon, a weird thing happens. This guy comes who's an adult and a bit malevolent, and he says to Nick, you need to help me, otherwise Mia, this new goth girl, is going to get harmed. And that's the hook that generates story. It's quite a short story and really almost a novella. And it uses, Mark Lawrence is actually a scientist. And so it doesn't diminish a lot of the nerdery in it. And he doesn't pull his punches about time travel, quantum mechanics, etc. Which, because I'm into science, I found that really, a lot of people are saying that threw them a little bit. They just assume that what Mark Lawrence is writing is correct, but they couldn't tell. To me, it seemed pretty straightforward if you know anything about that kind of world. It, to me, is incredibly predictable. And maybe it should be in the category of YA. Maybe it's aimed at that 15-year-old reader. But for me, I very soon worked out the entire plot. And as you know, with a movie or a book or whatever, once you do that, it loses a lot of steam. So I'm probably going to give this to my son to read because he mightn't pick all that up and I think he might enjoy some of the concepts in it. So maybe my recommendation is, if you're a really seasoned reader, you might want to try some other Mark Lawrence, which I haven't tried yet. But if you've got a teenager or someone who's new to the world of SF, then you might want to give them one word kill. Now, I should mention GRRM, George Martin, author of Game of Thrones, said he just absolutely loved it. So, it's got Patrick Rothfuss loved it as well. So, it's probably just me being a bit down on it. And finally, before I go, this is the next book I'm going to read and review, and I've started, and it's The Gutter Prayer, and it's by Gareth Hanrahan. And the reason I picked this up and the reason it went to the top of my reading pile was I have a friend who doesn't read that much stuff. He mainly listens to audiobooks, very busy guy, young family. And he said, and he's in my D&D group, Jason March. And he said, you would love this. And so he doesn't recommend that many books. So I'm into it. And so far, the guy can definitely write. And I'm interested in some of the characters and some I love. There's one character, at the beginning straight away, there are three main characters, and one's a ghoul. And I just love from the days of Edgar Allan Poe and H.P. Lovecraft, I love all those kind of stories of that ghoul kind of world, that universe, which seems to be always under every city in, the Middle Ages of Europe. And so I think this has got a lot of promise. Okay, that's it for today. Probably going to see a movie in the next couple of days and we'll get the movies going again. So if you like what I'm doing, hit like, subscribe. I'd love some comments if there's some books I should be reading. I was thinking of doing Stranger Things 3, but then I thought you guys probably get so much stuff from everyone else. And if you want to talk to me on Twitter, I'm there at Guru Eden. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.